applaud that because I think that even though that the voice is so much a staple of what the band is. And I know this being the voice, you know what I mean? So I get it. A lot of people, for some people, Paul is their singer, I was kind of there through the most part of it. So a lot of people think that I was the singer or, some people came and started listening to the band when they were, in high school. And Rob is the person that they started listening to the band to, Carl was such a part of what VR had turned into for 10 years. It was the riffing and the voice that made such, and to replace a voice like that is, let alone the guy, the chemistry, everything that you've worked in, like you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's just easy. You can get somebody to imitate, but it's not the same. Talk about that and how the transition was that you were going to go on. And at that point, you started singing for a little while. So.
And really what led to that was that we had auditioned several very competent singers. Very talented guys. Probably a couple that could have easily, done a great job. But Carl was just so much more than losing our. It was so much more than just losing our singer, which I say just losing our singer. And that's huge in itself because he's the voice and identity of our band. That was monstrously big. But we also lost like the funniest guy and like the coolest guy to be around, and it was like, I don't know, man. It was like just no one. I think Ronnie James Dio could have walked in and we would have been like, Ronnie, thank you for coming down and really appreciate you trying out. But, it was just, we were not ready to have anybody else, man.
Uh-huh.
And like,
really?
And that's really what it came down to. It's like, we tried some great guys, but there was just something that held us back from it. Like Carl was just so in our forefront that it led to the 1996 Something Burning album where, Larry and I decided let's just do it ourselves. Let's just get this album out.
Larry sang on it as well, right?
Larry and I both did it. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember somebody telling me that. I was like, I know that you sang it as well, but
we did a big tour.
Larry
with
got to finally be his.
Yeah.
Got to get out there and be that front man.
He's still on the drums though. That was the only holdback, but he's incredible, talented that he can sing and play drums like that.
I killed like anybody, even what Dan Beeler from Exciter is just.
Yeah.
How do you do that?
Yeah.
How the fuck do you do that? That little trained man. I can't even sing, let alone sing and play drums and have to do something else. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So
chew gum and walk, for Christ's sakes.
But Larry's really good at it. And,
that's awesome.
And so, but yeah, that led to us doing that. And it, I don't know, it was almost like, I don't want to get too fucking psychobabble, but I guess it was kind of like therapy almost, just to get it out. We did the album. We did a big tour with Accept, and that was incredible. But, at the end of the day, I wanted to celebrate those old records. I didn't want all that great music and all that great chemistry that we had put together to go to waste. It was like I had the Digital Dictator album. I had Welcome to the Ball. I had the Vicious Rumors albums.
What was it? What was it like singing that stuff, Geoff? How did you? Because Carl's got. Oh, I know you had to probably tune it. Did you have to retune?
Well, we did use some lower tunings,
right.
and we made adjustments and stuff. And then it just got to the point where we thought, well, look, if we're gonna continue on with Vicious Rumors, we got to find a singer and have all the elements and the right tools for the job. There's nothing. You try doing a job with the wrong tools, and it's just a nightmare. So,
sure.
So through that, we decided to get back on track, and we found a singer, Brian O'Connor.
And what year are we in right now?
Now we're up to 1998.
Yeah, you're 98.
On the Cyberchrist album.
Cyberchrist.
Which we brought in Brian O'Connor from Sacramento.
Uh-huh.
And Brian was one of the guys that we tried out for Something Burning, who was a great singer. And
just you weren't ready for
We just weren't ready for him. We just weren't ready for him.
Understandable.
And so Brian came in. We played the Wacken Festival. We made Cyberchrist. Yeah, it was amazing. We We did a big European tour with Blind Guardian, who was just
I know.
massive.
They're massive over there.
Yeah, that was an
Massive over
incredible
there,
tour.
yes.
And but it's a lot of stress to come in after a guy like Carl. Like the expectations are so high, the shoes are so tight to fit into. I mean,
hey, they threw beers at me at the first Exodus show. I remember full cans of beers because I had to take Paul's shoes. And
so know exactly what I'm talking about.
Exactly. I mean, some people were not having it. You know what I mean? No. This is not. No, fuck you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I know that. So I was the new singer until probably Fabulous Disaster.
Oh, man.
It was like 3 years later, I was still, this is our new singer. It's like, new singer? I got 2 records out with you fucking guys already. How am I your new singer? But, because the album was so monumental and, like, Carl's voice was so monumental, you know what I mean?
Hey, heavy metal fans know their music, they know their bands, and they know what they want, and they know when it's not real. So, and that's why it took a while, but they embraced you because they know it's real, like what you do. And
that's true though. That's what I was saying earlier in this interview. It's a 2-part thing. It's the fans and the bands, and we would never have each other, and we couldn't exist if it wasn't for them being so passionate the way they are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you have to respect that.
There's no medium that's pumping us in any light that people are going, oh, fuck, I got to check this out. You either love us or you hate us. It's one of the two. There's no mid ground there. You know what I mean? And it's just the way it is. So, which is fine, because out of that, I found out that our fans, as in heavy metal fans, are the most loyalist fans in music, period. Because, again, nobody is cramming what we play down your throat. You truly love it because you love it, not because somebody said, oh, dude, have you seen the new this or the new, well, you can't say new Slayer album because they're already done. If you are just, oh, yeah, I'm into that now. It's like you either love this shit or you don't. Like as a kid when you were growing up in the 70s, what was the shit that drew you to them? Alice Cooper, Ted Nugent, I mean? UFO, the harder stuff, Led Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Black Sabbath, exactly. Same thing for me. That's why we're here.
And that was also part of the allure of it all. Like just that, you were the rebel. You took on, it was like they were the gangsters of music,
When you look back at the beginning of rock and roll, they used to give Elvis such shit for the way that he moved. And if you notice the crowds were all going crazy and getting crazy. Heavy metal is the only form of music that still has fans that still absolutely go crazy. Go see, even one of our heroes. Go to a Fleetwood Mac concert. Go see The Who. People are sitting in their seats. To me, it's a rock concert, meaning you need to rock out. I guess I've been spoiled because I play in a thrash band like Exodus. But if I was to walk out and they were to stand there and not do anything, I would think like, fuck, I'm not having any fun, man. Wait a minute, It's when I'm going out there and they're piled 3 high on each other and beating the shit out of each other. Okay, yeah, now we're doing good, right? So it just seems like metal fans are much more, there's just as much of the show as the band is. Don't you agree?
Absolutely. It's a mix, of energy coming from both sides.
Sure.
And rebellion coming from both sides.
Definitely. Angst.
That's it.
Angst.
Yes. And there's nothing like it, really. There's nothing like it.
There's nothing like it. That's why we still do it at our age.
I just did 108 shows in less than a year, which is more than I ever did in my 20s.
It's one every 3 days.
And
if you think about it like that, 365 days in a year? Yeah, you're averaging one every 3 days. That's a lot of shows.
It was incredible. I mean, and
but you still do it, and the fans are still there to see it, huh, Geoff?
We still fucking love it.
Yeah, that's right. I do it too. That's why I do it too. That's exactly why I do it too. So now, as grunge came in and metal kind of died off, what did you do on the 98, 99, 2000 years? Were you guys still kicking, or had you taken a hiatus? You didn't do a record for quite some time, did you?
We had the
I mean, did grunge affect you? Did the Limp Bizkit and Korn, you know how that all came in, and Rob Zombie, and there was like, unless you were Pantera, you weren't doing any business anywhere. You know what I mean? I mean, Exodus really didn't reform. They did a short thing in '98 and did a live record with Paul, and then they were going to redo something in 2002, but he passed, and then I ended up joining the band, and we did Temple of the Damned, which is 2004. But even at that point, the business was still like not.
No, it was like a super chaotic.
Yes,
changing.
and there was nobody knew what to do. I mean, we'd go into Chicago, and if there was 280 people at the show that night, we were like, "Wow, it's packed tonight." You know what I mean? It's like, you know, and basically, you know, there was the crowds weren't all that. Talk about that time for you guys, because I know you guys were still doing it.
Sure. I mean, we basically, everything had changed so much for us. I was just like, even like the guitar solo was kind of getting phased out of music.
There was no solo.
Yeah. You almost had to go
Creed
to
and
yeah,
and Four Doors Down, or and 3 Days Grace, and none of those, and you know, and 3 Days Sideways. None of those bands, like, they had, you know, they didn't do any leads.
Yeah, now like country music was the only genre with like lead guitars anymore.
And country music started sounding like pop music, so I didn't like that. Because I don't mind Waylon and Willie, but I don't know if I can go with that other kind of stuff that, you know, everybody throws a cowboy hat on in their country, you know.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, it was a strange time. I basically was just like, let's just put 4 guitar solos in every song and hold this fucking metal flag high and just ride it out.
I know. I was like, Jimi Hendrix, what the hell is the matter with you people? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, if you like our albums in the 90s, like Something Burning and Cyberchrist and Word of Mouth, actually the last album we did with Carl, just going back for a minute, was probably our most diverse album, where we were kind of feeling... there was a lot of, I don't know. There was
a change then. If that was what, 94, right?
94. So
right, and that was full on Smells Like Teen Spirit and Soundgarden and Alice in Chains. You know what
exactly.
I mean? I understand that.
So we were kind of like experimenting with some different tunings and some different feels in the band, and then then after that, man, when we lost Carl, it was just like, all right. It's meat and potatoes, like, you know, Something Burning and Cyberchrist were hard, much harder, and as we continued on, man, it was just like, if you don't be true to yourself, how can you be true to anybody else? So,
well, that's the truth. I agree that, because everybody has one of those records. We have one of those records. The fans know which one, because we never play anything off of it.
Yeah.
Which I will get into that record at some point. But
I have one black album.
You know, I think everybody does. We have one. Everybody knows which one it is. I don't have to tell you, but we redeemed ourselves with Temple of the Damned after that one. So
it
took 9 years later, but we redeemed ourselves. And it's just, I guess you get paranoid, and you're thinking, oh, fuck. I'm not doing what's on the Pulse, and I used to be on the Pulse, and I got to follow the thing, and we're good enough musicians. We can pick up on this.
Sure.
And it's like you lose sight of what you are all about and what you do, and then all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute. Fuck this. This is what we are. We are brutal and violent and vicious. Let's just be brutal and violent, and that's just the way it is. You know what I mean? I can't do it any other way, and I think that... honestly, Geoff, I think everybody does that, right? Everybody goes through that, you know? You have to... You have to find that one record where you kind of go, we're artistes now. And then to realize, I look in the mirror and go, you're not really artistes. You're metal musicians. Just play what you know. Just, you know, don't stray away from the formula. That's what people love about it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, you know, for us, we've had, because we weren't in that, thrash label, we had a little, I felt one thing that we had a little more room to do some different things.
Oh, you could.
Because of our style. And it wasn't crazy left field if we did an anthem or a ballad or something, you know, and it's still.
But for Exodus, it's crazy left field, you know what I mean?
No,
right,
exactly.
Right,
exactly.
No, so, you were in that.
So definitely. in that regard, that works well for me too as a writer, because I don't write the same stuff all the time. Although my first love is the heavy stuff,
Sure.
and by all means. And since then, we went on and we did an album in 2001, and then just a lot of turmoil. That was probably the most unorganized lineups, and that are probably one of our most chaotic, the early 2000s, and right in there where we had survived the 90s, but it turned us. It morphed us into so many weird configurations that it took a while to snap out of it.
Couldn't get a grip on shit. Yeah, still hazy.
Yeah. So one thing that was great that happened for us is that, and I have been very lucky in life. I've had a record contract since I was 19. I've been signed almost my whole adult life, and even when I got dropped or whatever, I was able to get picked up.
Oh yeah.
By
Well, I mean,
somebody
now
else.
I'm 35 years. I've been dropped a couple times. I believe.
Yeah,
What
sure.
I mean? Now it's like
It just
Carmine.
happens.
It's like Carmine. It's like, I've been dropped 4 or 5 times.
Hey,
First one hurts. The first breakup, when they break up with you, the girl breaks up with you the first time. That hurts.
That's
Sorry.
right.
That one hurt.
Hey man, success doesn't come to people without some failure.
Of course,
Failure,
you have to
some
have
failure is part of success, and I don't even
no.
consider that failure. If you're trying and you're trying your best to make something happen, maybe it didn't work out, but you didn't really necessarily fail. It's just
No, that's true.
I mean, it all depends on how you look at it, right?
Oh, hey.
And so
Glass is half full.
that's it, brother. That
Not
is
half
it.
empty. You know what I mean? Glass is half full.
So, the one thing that was really incredible for us after we did the Warball album. Okay, let me do the Warball album first. 2005, 2006. I do the Bang Your Head Festival, and
Now it's been 4 years since you've done a record,
now
right?
it's right. This is one of the longest gaps we've had in
Okay.
between records. I was changing record companies and changing some band members, so it was a big time. But at the same time, we never broke up. Okay,
They never broke up.
but we just put the nose to the grindstone and get back to work. We came out with the Warball album. I had met James Rivera from Hellstar, and James came into VR. This our latest singer, and
Wow.
we did the Warball album. And my good buddy Brad Gillis from Night Ranger
Yeah.
started making guest appearance on our albums. And
He shreds. He's just a shredder.
he's just full of fire.
Yes, he is.
He's
He is.
incredible.
It's great to see Night Ranger, man. He just tears it apart.
Definitely. They're you go and see their show, and it's like they have this like pop kind of rock style, but they deliver it with like a metal show.
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
they're so good.
Don't tell me you love me. Come on.
Oh yeah, they rock
I mean,
it,
they
man.
Is Watson still with them?
No, they have they went through a few guys, Reb Beach,
Oh,
and,
yeah, that's right. That's right. Red was with
Joel Hoekstra from Whitesnake, and they got this other cat now. But anyway, the Warball album sort of brought us back on track in the early 2000s. It was 2005 now. We had a good year of touring, really good reviews on the album, but unfortunately it was the same kind of thing where like the singer didn't last. And
was this with SPV or was this the last record with?
this was on Mascot Records.
That's right. You were
A
Mascot
Dutch-
for a little while.
a
Yeah,
Dutch
I know
label.
them. Yeah, I know them.
So they got a lot of success with Volbeat, and and then something very special happened after the Warball album. I signed with SPV directly in Germany.
Yeah,
and
Steamhammer.
working with SPV Steamhammer and Ollie Hahn over there, incredible.
Yeah, Ollie's a good guy.
Well, very smart, very savvy, well-known, well-respected.
Yes.
Great guy to work with. And we've been with SPV now going on 10 years.
Wow.
And so that's the longest label affiliation I've ever had. They just picked us up for 2 more albums. So I've got a 2-album extension.
That's great.
I got my rock star license another couple years. And
You get your pin, your button.
yeah, it's actually a laminated license.
Oh, really? A button. A button. I thought he got it. I got mine.
But working
Your
with
silver, like your little coin that you get
That's
to put.
it.
I'll put mine up here somewhere because we have 18 We signed with Nuclear Blast in 2003.
That's fantastic.
I was out of the band for 10 years and come back, and we're still with them, and they're very happy with Exodus.
Oh, yeah, of course they are.
Good. So longevity with a label makes so much sense because they know what they're doing with you. You know them. You know what to expect of them. I mean, once you get one, it's like having a doctor or a mechanic. You don't need to go look for another one. There's nothing over the horizon that's going to beat this because what you're getting, it's not all about just the money. It's the whole package of everything that's going in, the people that work for you, like Andy Siri and Yop, the guys that work for Nuclear Blast that work for us.
Great guys.
That their heart is into Exodus. You know what I mean? All the people, Gerardo down in L.A., everybody who's like just puts their heart and soul into all the bands there, especially Exodus, and they truly love the bands. And when you know they love the bands, that's when you're like, wow, we're lucky to be with somebody who really appreciates you, doesn't look at you like, well, how many units can we squeeze out of these fucking guys?
No, those guys are real metalheads by real people that love metal.
Yep, that's right.
And when you can work with Nuclear Blast or SPV Steamhammer, then you're with the right people.
Yeah.
So
German metal labels.
German. Hey.
However they're going to do it,
Yeah.
However they're going to do it.
Whatever works, man. But it's been great. Then in 2011, we released the Razorback Killers album. And that we had a lot of success with that record. We did 92 shows in Europe on that album, which was... Wow. I don't even know how that happened. Well,
that's a lot of shows.
Yeah, it doesn't even seem like it makes sense. But what happened was we went back through a lot of the same markets again. We did about 60 shows over a 4-month period or something with some one-offs and festivals and stuff. And then after we had basically toured all of Europe, Hammerfall invited us to do 30 shows with them as a support slot. So we went, which was great because we had already been through all these cities playing like the nightclub, and then we went back again with Hammerfall playing bigger venues.
Yeah, because Hammerfall's huge over there.
Yeah, Hammerfall's huge and great guys.
Nobody's like, Pontus.
Pontus, amazing.
Pontus does sound for King Diamond.
I know.
So that's where I met him, and he's like, and he had to leave like the last 3 days because of the tour because he had to go on tour with Hammerfall. Love that guy. He's a great player too.
Unbelievable player. Super talented.
Yeah, great. That's why they are. I mean, again, power metal, and especially in Germany over there, is really Blind Guardian, stuff like that is just really over the top and huge over there.
It really is. It really is. Yeah, let me tell you something about Pontus. I met him at a gig we did with Candlemass, and I've seen Candlemass a bunch of times, and I really like them.
Oh, they've been around forever.
Yeah,
and Swedish, that
great band.
Yeah,
they really got that doom sound, like just the drummer, like just I don't know, just the way they play that slow music so powerfully, and super heavy. And they've always sounded good, but this one particular time, I was like, I'm like. What do they do? They set up a different PA for these guys or something? I'm like, why do these guys sound like 100 times better than everybody right now? And I'm just figuring it's got to be their sound guy. And so I go over and I introduced myself to this guy, and it was Pontos. And and I tell him, hey, I'm Geoff of Vicious Rumors. Oh, and Digital Dictator. And it was really cool. He knew who I was. And
that's always cool.
Yeah, that was real nice. And I just got to meet him there, and I was just said that it sounded so amazing. I had to introduce myself to you and just meet you because that was phenomenal. And and he's an A-list sound guy, as you know.
Yes.
And then it was funny when we got the Hammerfall tour. And we showed up. I was like, "Oh my god, dude! It's
not
you."
Not doing sound. I'm playing guitar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Wild.
And he's an incredible guy. Yes. We had so much fun with them. So that was a good run we did with those guys. And that was which led to 92 shows in Europe, man.
Yeah, but nothing really in the States, huh? Because it's still kind of.
We didn't do anything in the States.
States
really.
are still kind of at that time.
We did some Weekend Warrior stuff. We really did we did 80 shows in the U.S. recently. But we had a long drive.
No, you can do it again. But there was a time in the 2000s in the
And let's face it, Europe. I mean,
they still do the patches on their back.
Oh yeah, You mean like this one?
That one right there, yes, they love it. And I have the Zetro's Toxic Vault patches on that. I'm going to be bringing them to Europe when I come over with Testament and Death Angel.
I need that too.
I think I have one here. I'll find one for you.
All right, that'd be awesome.
Advertisement.
But yeah, that was the sort of the beginning of the SPV run. From there we went on and did the Electric Punishment album, and now at this time we have Brian Allen on vocals, and he actually was in the band probably the longest of anyone since Carl. Like he did 2 studio albums and a live album with us, so we did 3 albums with us, and a really great singer from Portland, Oregon. We got another thing kind of brewing up in Europe again. The album was Album of the Month in Rock Hard, and things we're getting a lot of festivals, and so we've just sort of been on this underground. We've just been living in the underground for 40 years. But like I said, man, I'm not complaining by any means, because it's been a dream. I mean, just traveling around the world playing heavy metal. Now we're
kind of like B actors, and every once in a while they put us in an A-list movie, and they'll sing.
That's right.
I like the festivals we do at Maiden and the other guys. We get to play those festivals, so we do get roles in the bigger movies sometimes, and we're in the credits. You know what I mean? But it's kind of like, but there's a whole market of people out there that would rather go watch B movies, you understand? It's
no one has ever said it better than that.
That's the analogy of it. I'm sorry, it's the way it is.
That is so funny.
It's the truth, though. And so
that's a perfect way to describe it. But
you're not going to say like guys like Gunnar Hansen or Bill Moseley, guys that are horror guys that are in horror movies. People like me think that they're they're the cat's ass, but they could walk down the street and nobody would necessarily know who they were. You know what I mean? So it's like, we're kind of the same way.
Yeah.
Every once in a while you get it. You know what I mean? But I always explain fame like this. If you walk into Taco Bell and the dude freaks out before you get your order or get to order, you're famous. If you walk into Taco Bell and the guy looks at you and goes, "Can I take your order, sir?" You ain't shit.
Good one.
Kind of how I look at it.
There's no way that you can walk around and go to like Safeway Dublin, though, I'm sure, without getting tackled in the frozen food section.
But it does, you know what I mean? I get it every once in a while. In my hometown, obviously, people know, and in other places, but it's not overly overkill, like yourself. It's not overkill, it's like, I could go through a whole thing and,
I'm always flattered.
I kind of like the fact that it's not outrageous.
Oh, I know.
That would be so uncomfortable. I can do anything.
Sure.
Again, like we were talking about how much I go to the movies. I go to the movies and, I'm just a dude at the movies, and I love that.
I'm flattered and honored anytime that a fan says hello to me or wants to meet me. This thing that's happening these days now where bands are charging this absorbent amount of money to meet them and sign stuff. I mean, it's a brilliant way to make an extra money, I guess, when you're on the road. But just the idea of that to me is just horrible. Because without those people, they wouldn't have been rock stars in the beginning in the first place anyway.
It's another avenue.
But I understand the business aspect of making that extra money, because that does really add up.
And a lot of times, you need that to do the tour, to pay for the bus or something like that, because some of these bands are not on that level. In Europe,
but then if you do it, you got to give them something. You can't just be to meet you and take your picture.
No.
You got to give them like a gift bag or something.
Exodus has done meet and greets, and you get a full gift bag.
Okay, well that's different. That's cool.
You get a poster, you get a laminate, you get
All right, that's cool.
So you get pictures, you get something for it.
Right.
And my whole idea is, and I've always told the fans this, I don't want to steal from anybody. You know what I mean? Can I take a picture with you? I always say, sure, they're free. You know what I mean? Because they are.
Yeah.
Who cares? You know what I mean? It's like, if it makes your fucking day, do you want to take a picture with me? How long is that going to take? 2 seconds?
Oh,
like you ain't got that for your fans? I always do that. They know I'm the same way. I'm very approachable and very congenial when it comes to them. I know that they're such a big part of it. My longevity lasts by them. You know what I mean? If I touch their lives or meet somebody and, you know, and I see them again in the next show, you know, they'll always come back. You know what I mean? And I've always been that way. I don't think that this thing that we do should necessarily put you on any certain pedestal. It's a job like everybody else has. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, it's one thing, you know, if you're on like Metallica level, then it becomes a safety issue.
Sure, of course.
You know what I mean? Because
exactly. I mean,
when they're like superstars or something.
But we're not at that level.
That's what I'm saying.
You know, I'm not. You know what
that's
I mean?
what I'm saying. But for
I have
me,
a nice, comfortable crowd, I would say. You know.
I'm like, I just got back from Europe. I was over for the summer doing some promotion and going to a few festivals, and like all the festivals I ran into and hung out with like a bunch of VR fans that just saw me and were like, "Whoa, Geoff, what's up?" And I just had the greatest time with them, man. And
well, they're just so happy that you're there and you're talking to them, because they've spent hours of their life listening to your music over and over again, and now you're standing in front of them. You're right there in front of them, and they just want to thank you and tell you how great it is. And if you know,
and I tell them how that, you know,
I'm the same
that they've
way.
dknow, done the same thing for me.
I agree. I tell them without them, there's no me.
Exactly,
sure.
Man.
For sure. Yeah, I'm the same way.
But
continue.
Yeah, man. I mean, we were at the Electric Punishment with Brian Allen, and that brought us to 2012. Did a lot of gigs.
Now, is SPV expecting a record from you every 2-3 years, or
they have been?
Are they good about that? You know,
we did this thing where we put out Razorback Killers in 2011, and then we did Live You to Death in Germany, a live album in 2012. We did Electric Punishment in 2013, and then we did Live You to Death 2 in 2014. So we had this run where we did an album every year for 4 years, and then we put out our last studio album in 2016. And really, so now we're kind of at this 3-year gap again. Now it's going to be 4 years again in between albums. But
we're 6 right now. We're at 5 right now. It's going to be 6, but
yeah,
our guys. Everybody knows where our guy is right now.
Right, sure.
Our main guy's in that, the other band that's just finishing up right now. So they all know he'll be back, and next year it'll be a whole different story.
It's going to be a mighty year for Exodus again.
But it's been 5 years. It's been
so
it's a long time.
I mean, I don't think anyone ever really plans on having that long of a break in between albums when you have an active band. But in our case, it certainly wasn't because we weren't working. I mean, we did, like I said, 108 shows through this Digital Dictator tour reunion. It started off, it was going to be 3 weeks. It turned into almost 4 months.
Wow.
So the response just kept going from one to the other. So it kind of put us a little off schedule, but I'm really happy to say that we have a new contract. As I was saying, we got an extension from SPV, and so we're full pre-production working on a new album now. And we actually made a DVD I wanted to show you of Vicious Rumors.
We're actually, one of you lucky fans are going to win this, and we're going to have Geoff Thorpe sign it. So you know the PO box. Send us a postcard and tell us how much you love VR and how much you want to see this one, and we, between myself and Wayne, we will pick it.